In this week's episode of Akame ga Kill, the Mistress of Ice Esdeath is gathering together a powerful team to go up against Night Raid, and she's also looking for her new lover. This week's episode was pretty good. It was sort of another calm before the storm episode. Something that I did find kind of shocking is that they really skim over all of the members sort of reacting to Bulat's death. They don't really get to any of that this week. You do get to see that it is affecting some of the members of Night Raid little by little, but honestly, they don't really spend too much time on that. And immediately, Tatsumi is already training, just as Bulat had taught him. And even in this week's episode, he learns that he has the potential to become as strong or stronger than Bulat himself. But the thing you're going to remember most about this week's episode is the brand new team that Esdeath is forming. After the death of her 3 old subordinates, she has to form a brand new team. Some of them will look familiar, some of them are brand new. This group is awesome. They are known as the Jaegers, or the Hunters. And they're great. There's Kuromi, who is Akame's sister, who has a lot of her personality, and you get to see that in this week's episode, especially with the goofy faces that she makes, and she even has the balls to play with Koro, the creepy dog. And speaking of Koro, that means that we're going to get the return of Seiryu. And yes, she has brand new metallic arms, and she is ready to kick some ass. There's also this one weird guy who looks like he's wearing this weird, like, Gimp mask, and he looks like he's, like, kind of freaky and very quiet, but he's very shy and actually seems kind of girlish. One of the weirdest members of the group is this one out-of-towner by the name of Wave, and I'm not really sure what's up with this character. He doesn't really seem like he's going to be much of a threat, but I'm not going to judge him on his outside appearances, because I thought that Seiryu was a very cute and bubbly character, and she ended up turning into a psycho bitch. Originally, while watching this episode, I thought that Esdeath was actually going to be falling in love with Wave, because they made it seem like she was trying to find someone who didn't grow up in the capital, and someone that she could train herself, and Wave just seems like kind of a rookie right now, but only because he seems like kind of an out-of-town hick. He even brought a big old bag of fish to give as a gift, and I love when Esdeath actually brings them all in. She actually starts to fight against all of them at once to sort of test them, and this just shows some of their skills. And of course, they all look really great in black suits, so I can't wait to see them finally get into action, and frankly, I'm just glad to see Seiryu again. She's one of my favorite female villains from the show. And speaking of the females, they're really the standouts of this series, and that's made very clear when they go back to Night Raid, and you realize that Tatsumi and Lubbock are the only main characters left, and they're really the only ones that they've been focusing on the series, and pretty much everybody else is female for the most part. There are a few other characters like Wave and that one weird guy wearing the creepy mask who's now a member of the Jaegers, but we still don't really know much about them. Otherwise, this was a cool episode that also gave us a little bit of background about how the leader of Night Raid used to actually work with Esdeath, and you can see that they were completely different from each other when they were going on raids and destroying towns. Esdeath was having way too much fun with killing everybody, and she didn't really seem to want to be a part of it at all. And this could have been like one of the things that made her want to leave and form Night Raid in the first place. And obviously there is going to be some sort of connection between those two, but honestly they're just not getting into it quite yet. That's just one of those juicy little story bits that they want to save for later on, so that it'll make you go, oh, holy crap. But the thing that's really great about this week's episode is at the very end, they're having this tournament in the city where people can come and fight and win money, and Tatsumi decides he's going to go in, because if he wins some dough, he can send it back to his village. And since he isn't one of those members of Night Raid who has one of their wanted posters, everything's going to be just fine. The problem is, he's way too good of a fighter and he ends up winning his match, and this actually catches the attention of Esdeath. And at the very end of the episode, she decides to walk down and congratulate him personally, as well as put a collar around his neck, because Esdeath is now in love with Tatsumi, and it looks like that Tatsumi is going to be Esdeath's bitch from this point on. Frankly, Tatsumi, try to enjoy it while you can. I mean, it's Esdeath. Can't be all that bad. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Akame ga Kill? Pretty good stuff, a little slow, but I loved the introduction of the Jaegers, because they're sort of like the opposite of Night Raid. It seems like that's what Esdeath is trying to do here. She's trying to create like her own antithesis to Night Raid, the evil versions of them, so to speak, and I think that's pretty interesting. And of course, I can't wait to see the confrontations between them, but also the fact that you have such major characters teaming up. Just the fact that Esdeath and Kuromi are going to be together just seems like it's going to be really incredible, because Kuromi almost seemed like she was going to be like her own separate thing, her own separate arc, but the fact that she's going to be involved with this group just, again, just makes it seem like that's why they're going to be like the evil version of Night Raid, because she's like the opposite of Akame that we've seen at this point. Otherwise, there's also a little bit of humor this week, especially at the beginning of the episode when Tatsumi and Lubbock are doing their training, where Lubbock is saying that he hasn't done as many push-ups, and Akame points out that's because Leone has been sitting on his back, and she happens to weigh a lot more, so she ends up decking Akame right in the face. It's just funny little moments like that that actually manage to add a little bit of, you know, goofiness to the series, because for the most part, things tend to get really serious in this show. But otherwise, I loved it. I loved seeing Seiryu return. She's probably my favorite female villain aside from Esdeath from the series. And Esdeath herself is just an incredible villain. She's so charismatic, she's so mysterious, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to this whole she just wants to find someone to be in love with. I'm sure there's like a bigger ulterior motive here. And the fact that Tatsumi has just been captured by Esdeath just makes me realize he's going to have a tough time escaping, especially with this brand new group of Jaegers. And it's not going to be good too, because Seiryu might actually recognize him, and that could lead to something even crazier. But it looks like Lubbock and Leone might actually have to get in there and save the day. Otherwise, cool development. There were some other like little scenes, like Mine was trying to heal herself. She was trying to get over Bulot's death. And just, you know, little things like that sprinkled throughout the episode. But really, this wasn't anything too crazy. But still, it was really entertaining. And, you know, Esdeath and her Jaeger group really just soaked up every single scene. So I'm going to give this week's episode a 3 out of 5. Yes, a 3 out of 5. Pretty good episode. Nothing too mind-blowing. But if you are following the series, you should definitely check it out. It's got a lot of entertaining moments, a few little action bits, and the Jaegers are definitely worth checking out. So check it out, guys. Pretty good stuff. Thank you guys for watching my review today. Before you leave, make sure and hit that like button so you can give this video a thumbs up. And please tell me what you thought about this week's episode of Akame ga Kill. What did you think of the introduction of the Jaegers, and do you have a favorite member from the group? Please tell me with your comments below, and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and you can also follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. I'll put links for all that stuff in the description box below.
Do you like Amazon.com? I know I do. Corey and I now have an Amazon link in our video description box below. And if you go to it and buy anything through Amazon.com, it will support our channel. So bookmark that link, make it happen, and support our channel without having to do a damn thing.
Another great way you guys can help support our channel is by donating directly through our PayPal link in the description box below. We recommend $2 a month, although this is completely optional. But the best way to go about this is by sneaking into your mom's room and taking $2. This way, she won't even notice. And we won't have to shake you up for all of your lunch money. So guys, that concludes this review today. Super Kami Guru 9000. Out.